Drivin Ivan here with my Barbie dream wagon, as I call it, my Citroen CX and my La Forza. Got a lot of cool cars. And recently I've seen videos on the internet saying classic cars are just super money pits. Now, I have a lot of cars, so yeah, of course, cars cost money to maintain, but in this video, I'm going to share with you some costs, and I'm going to share with you my quirky cars, and I'm going to talk to you about what they really cost to maintain. So smash that like button, and let's get started, shall we? All right, so here we are. I like to say underneath the hood of my Italian cars is spaghetti, but underneath the hood on this one is French fancy pasta with fancy sauces, and the fancy sauce is this green stuff right here, and that is the hydraulic fluid that is used to raise the suspension up and make it do all the cool things that Citroens do. Now, how much has this car cost me so far? Well, sometimes the price of the car is not really the whole story. In this case, it wasn't too bad to purchase. But once you purchase it, well, I had the smart decision to try to drive it home from Florida, not knowing too much about the car. And, well, the steering got a little loose on me, so I ended up driving it about 200-300 miles and then paying for a tow up back home, and just I had two cars anyway, so it was just a lot easier. So that was my first few $100s, a little more. You could never get it towed for that much nowadays, but just towing. The first time I got this car really looked at, I wanted gone through a little bit by the Citroen specialists, and there's a few in the country. There's also parts availability. It's not too hard to get parts, but you need to be involved in the club. More on that in a second. I spent about $1,500 getting this thing squared away, and since then I've probably spent another $600-700 here and there. And then thankfully I have friends in the Citroen club, and you know, these clubs, you can go online and you can find pretty much any resource for quirky cars like these or anything else. The La Forza, also my other cars, like my lovely Ginetta G26 here, recently imported, or this Fiat Barchetta that I imported. And unfortunately, I ran over something in this. I thought I was going to clear it, and it ended up damaging the oil pan, and that was not fun. So I had to replace the oil pan. And this is based on the Fiat Punto, so it's actually pretty reliable and easy to maintain in terms of just finding parts for it. But that part costs about $350 shipped from Italy, so that was a good deal, actually, very cheap. And then unfortunately, you know, the labor, by the time the labor and everything, you're darn near $1,000. But that's really all I've had to spend on this one. This MGF here, well, I drove this all over Europe, and they have a known reputation for head gaskets and things like that. I was told that my head gasket was done, maybe not by a super professional, but it was done. But it occasionally has overheated, but nothing major. You know, hot day and sitting in traffic or something like that. These mid-engined MGFs don't like that. It did like driving on the Nürburgring with me, so that was fun. But let's see, what else do I have over here? Nothing super exotic about the Porsche Boxster, although I got kind of a cheaper one, and you know, it needed things like the coils and the spark plugs and things like that. There's a Tiptronic too, on purpose. You can see my video on Tiptronic Boxsters and what I think about that. I have so many manual cars like my 996 here that well, you know, I actually wanted a Tiptronic in this case. Do search any of these cars in Drivin Ivan and you will see my reviews. But this little MG midget here, it's the hardtop I was after when I bought it, and I actually rattle can painted it myself for under $100, and it shows. That's really all I put into this one. But it's got some various issues going on right now. A little bit of leaking here and leaking there like these cars do. And it's not anything too complicated, fortunately. So I could probably take care of that myself, even though I do not like working on cars myself. So it does help to have a good mechanic or somebody in the club that helps you out. And I'm lucky to have someone just like that for my Lotus here. This is a super cool car, the Lotus Esprit Turbo. And again, you can search for my full reviews, but that's really not what today's about. It's talking about how much to maintain these. So I have spent probably in the neighborhood of, I would say about $2,500, because parts, I think the alternator went out and I needed a belt. But you know, if you have friends that know these cars and are able to help you out, that's part of the battle. So, you know, dealing with mechanics, well, that's a whole nother ball of wax in and of itself. You know, I was watching the Wizard's video, and he was showing some Citroens, and that's why I started with that Citroen there. But this is my 635 CSI, quite custom, and I really haven't had to do anything to this because it's been quite reliable. I've had to buy batteries for a lot of the cars, certainly because I have a lot of cars, and I try to drive them and keep them running and charge the batteries, but eventually, you know, the batteries give up, and so you need another battery. But mechanics, yeah, it's like if you're going to be renovating houses, if you use the expensive people to renovate the houses that you want to try to maybe flip, it's not going to happen. Yes, I have a background in real estate too. Drivin Ivan has dealt with real estate as well. So, you know, they say you make your money on the buy. So if you buy it right, then when you go to sell, you'll be good. And I've been very fortunate to get these cars like that Lotus at very reasonable prices. You can see my Porsche 911 SC Targa. I bought the cheapest Porsche 911, and I tell you what, I paid for that one. And it was very, very reasonable. I bought it a long time ago. And on that one, let's see what I've had to do. Well, I sealed up the engine when I first got it. That was a lot of money. That was like a used Honda money when I first bought it a long time ago. It was a big bill for me. And lately, just starter that I did because I thought it was probably going, and it was acting a little wonky. Batteries, of course, for that car. The alternator I did myself. That was something, but I did it. So that was just the price of the part, and that was a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, the Wizard is good, and unless you're Hoovy, he probably charges you more normal money. So yeah, it's tough if you're going to have to go to the dealer or something like that. It will be a lot of money. My Alpina B7 is in the shop right now, and that's not a cheap car to maintain. The starter, the alternator, I mean, you got to tear the whole engine apart for these things, and it's tough. The fuel pumps under the seats, things like that. You wouldn't think it would be so much money, but if you take it to the few people that will actually work on a car like that, well, then it gets to be a lot of money. So real costs, of course, include insurance as well, but I don't think they're quite as much as the Wizard is saying. If you don't drive them a lot, you know, enough to keep them running, you want to drive them at least around the block, warm them up to temperature every couple of weeks at most. If you're driving them every day, they're much easier to maintain, and they perform better because you're using them all the time. But if the cars sit, I have a lot of cars, then it does become an issue. And you can search what does Drivin Ivan drive if you want to see exactly what I have. But yeah, it helps to know someone in the car club or have friends or work on them yourself. And if that's the case, then the costs are a little bit more down to earth. What do you think of this cool interior, by the way? Man, I love this thing. Oh my God. I love this car. My 635 CSI, 1988. Do search any of these cars in Drivin Ivan and you'll find my full review. Okay, let's move on to a couple more cars. And again, this Lancia Delta Integrale here. I'm very lucky to get this one and get it at a decent price. because when I bought it, it wasn't running. And that was the case with this next one I'm going to show you too. No, not my Porsche 914 Superbird. If you want to see what that one looks like, just search Drivin Ivan and Porsche 914 Superbird. Actually, it's kind of funny because I bought these two cars. This Austin Healey Sprite, very custom and cool. Bought it in California, and man, is it cool. And the hardtop fits this one and that midget, so those are two good things. But yeah, when I bought this one, I think I spent, man, probably a couple thousand, maybe $2,500 getting it running, and it was well worth it. It's a great car. I've had it for many, many years, and I love it. And this one, it's got fender flares, and it's got this crazy scoop on the hood, and then you lift it up, and what do you see? Oh, you see that beautiful, beautiful Alfa Romeo engine. Just gorgeous. So yeah, this is, have you figured it out? It's a 1973 Alfa Romeo GTV. And, well, apparently a tree fell on it. And the top was just taken off, and now it's a GTC clone, the convertible version that Touring built in 1966 and 1967. So, yeah, this one, I just wanted them to get it running, not change anything on it. I like the quirkiness of it. You know, it's got these silly louvers and things like that, but I like them. I love the steely looking wheels, and I like the quad headlights up front. I really like just about everything about it. And I never have to see another one at a car show. I've seen one actual 66 GTC, and that was at, where was that? That was at the Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix. You can look back at my footage and see that. So, yeah, there you go. Should I show you a couple others? Tell you what I paid to maintain them? Of course I should. Okay, here's my baby, my 82 Porsche 911 Targa. I've been through also a few sets of seats here. These are my third seats in this. These are basically the factory ones that were blue, and then I wanted to have the white leather interior to match the white gauges. I love the look of it. Blue piping on these, so believe it or not, I had the whole interior redone for $1,500. Just one guy did it. He did the seats and everything for $1,500. So that was a while ago. Of course, you might not get prices like that. This one, my baseball glove leather Audi TT, such a cool car. I know there's not a light, not a lot of light in here, so you probably can't see too much. But anyway, great car. You can see the full review elsewhere on YouTube of this one. Clear coats peeling a bit, so I need to do something like that, something about that. I need to address it, but for now, I just take it out and drive it every now and again. It is so fun to drive. Watch this review. This literally will spin in place in the snow, and I drive it in the snow in my reviews, so search Drivin Ivan Audi TT. But this one, I had to do the coils and the spark plugs. And, you know, little things break here and there. And this car is so fun to drive that you just smile and fix them, you know. So I've probably spent a couple $1,000s on this one. Maybe a little more, because it was my daily driver for a while. Maybe, I don't know how much. Maybe, let's just say $3,000 total. And that's just taking it to various people who work on them. I mean, it's just a fancy Volkswagen, being an Audi, so not too shabby. But yeah, nowadays, even though this is a glorified Volkswagen, people are charging you all sorts of money to fix these, and it's just kind of silly in a way, but that's just the way it is. So there you go. That's really the real costs for me for owning all these cool cars, and I have many more. Search what does Drivin Ivan drive. But insurance is a big cost if you want to drive them and enjoy them, so you got to pay the insurance depending on where you live, depending on your driving record and all that sort of thing. Of course, that varies greatly, but I do get a bulk discount because I have so many cars, And, you know, you just need to find what works for you. But it's definitely something to consider. If you're young and you want a fast, fancy car, it's not going to be cheap because you're more risk when you're younger. And that is basically it. So, again, I kind of disagree with the large estimates that the Wizard gave for the cost of maintaining those Citroens and the Alfa Romeo and such like that. You know, I mean, the amount of money that he mentioned for that Alfa was crazy. I used to have a 164L and 5-speed manual. You can see the review of that one. I sold that one. That's my only Alfa right now. But it shouldn't be all that much money. You have to buy right. Buy one that runs, buy one that really works well, and then you won't have these issues. If it's been well maintained, spend a little bit more money that way. You know, there's no such thing as a cheap Ferrari, they say. And my Maserati Spider too, check that one out. They wanted $5,000 for the little suspension part I needed. And I was able to get them for about $700 and have a mechanic put them in for maybe $400 or $500. So that was about a $1,500 fix when I first got that Maserati Spider registered. So that was a little tough. But it wasn't all that bad because, again, I found out how to get around the problem of the $5,000 part. You don't pay for it. You find a way around it, and you find a mechanic that can do it for you. Watch my Beatles in London and also Liverpool video. That's a cool video that just came out. It has a very special surprise. I actually saw a real Beetle in that one. Watch my guitar reviews, disc golf videos. Of course, search any car in Drivin Ivan, my cool Ginetta that I just imported. Watch my laps on the Nürburgring with my MGF. And also the Noble that I just tested. That's a pretty cool car. Always reviewing cool cars like the Alfa Romeo SZ, the BMW Z1, and I even compare the Z1 in another video to the Z3, the Z4 Clown Shoe. So check all those out. Smash that like button, subscribe if you already haven't. Thanks for watching this video. I am with my Porsche 911 SC, Drivin Ivan.